We back at it again with another episode of Blue Chews. I'm here with my co-host Azib. Finna talk about this crazy NFL weekend and some NBA news. But to start off, let's talk about week 8 of the NFL. See what happened. There's some big games, some upsets, a lot of upsets this week. So if you guys tell us for the betting segment, we're gonna get to that later, but I didn't do that bad. Someone else didn't pull their weight. I'm not gonna say any names, but he didn't pull his weight. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Ravens and Steelers game. What are your thoughts on that game, Azim?
Honestly, I was hurt.
I was so hurt, man.
That was...
You guys know we're both Ravens fans, so that hurt.
Like, this guy over here, he let us down.
Man, to tank for Justin Fields.
Honestly, I'm going to go a little off topic quick to start off. Someone asked me today, literally, they're like, if the Jets offered you the number 1 pick for Lamar Jackson, would you take it? And I was like, damn, I might take it and go get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields.
I would take it, I'll be honest.
It's a bad look, but man, because my problem is, from an MVP season, it's not just a little bit of a regression right now. It's a pretty significant regression. Like, the play hasn't been there. The turnovers are way too much. Like, those interceptions were so costly.
And fumbles too.
The fumble, when your defense is playing the way it is, where they had stopping the team on third downs, the turnover. They're doing their job. They held the Steelers' offense to a little over 200 yards, right?
Yeah.
You can't give them the ball in the small field and just screw your defense over like that. That's just not how it works. And he just did it too many times that game, and he just wasn't able to replicate it on the other side of the offense. We got a lot of yards, over 400 yards from scrimmage, but it just wasn't smooth, and that's the problem.
Honestly, for me, the question here is, were the Ravens overrated coming into the year, and do we think they'll bounce back? I'm a Ravens fan, so I'm going to tell you that they'll bounce back, obviously. But if I'm coming from an unbiased standpoint, Ravens just don't look as good as people thought they were going to be. But it's not for me to say that the players we got in the offseason were overrated, because Calais Campbell's doing his job. He's doing exactly what we bought him here for. It's Lamar Jackson's regression. That's the only reason why we're not performing to the level we thought we'd be performing at. Last year, he had a QBR of 84. This year so far, through 7 games, his QBR is 64. So the regression has been steep. And I don't want to say the league has figured him out, because he's still as dynamic as a runner as he was last year, but teams are better prepared for it.
A lot more better prepared. They're spies. They're committing to that spy. They're not letting him just... Last year, you felt like he could beat you with his legs. And this year, they're saying, no, you have to throw the ball. Can't only... your legs are going to do a lot. They're still going to convert downs, move the chains. But that's not the only way you're going to beat us. You got to really be able to throw the ball. And it just... we're not using the soldiers as Marquise.
Yeah. And to talk about that, Marquise Brown literally said, what's the point of having soldiers, not going to use them? I don't think that was a shot at Lamar Jackson, because they are pretty close. So I think that was a shot at Greg Roman. And it's honestly true. At some point, your quarterback just won a league MVP, and you still have the training wheels on him. Open up the playbook. If you don't think he can make some of these throws, then why is he your quarterback?
Exactly.
We're not running a wildcat the whole game. I don't get it. The man's not a running back. He's a quarterback. If you don't think he can make those throws, we have a problem. Why you have an MVP at quarterback? Hollywood's we have Hollywood for no reason. I promise you, Hollywood's one of the best deep threats in the league. But we don't. But he can't show that, because they're not. Part of it is they don't trust Lamar to make the throws on the field, and part of it is they're not even trying it. They're literally not even trying.
I don't understand the process when I look back at it now of why draft Marquise Brown, a deep threat receiver, if you're not going to build in becoming a deep throwing team. There's still a lot of the offense, majority of the time, is just get the 10 yards, run the ball, get 5 yards first down, they get the 7 yards in second down, and then keep moving the chains that way. The deep threat play isn't there, or it's maybe a Lamar will scramble and someone will get open a little deep, 25 yards down the field, Willie Snead. It's not, the big play element isn't. It's too improvised. It's not set into the playbook.
And even in the draft, the type of receiver we got was Duvernay, another deep threat. So you could by that draft pick, it's trying to tell you that they're trying to commit to throwing the ball deep, but they're not doing it. And a underrated factor, I think, this year compared to last year, is we're really missing that 3 tight end package I used to run last year with Nick Boyle, Hayden Hurst, and Mark Andrews. Because last year we went to that, I think it was 23% of the time.
Yeah.
And that was when we had the most positive plays on offense. We had 3 tight ends in the game. And it makes sense, because Lamar loves targeting tight ends. And he looks at them as a security blanket. So all those motions that we had with Boyle, Hayden Hurst, and Mark Andrews, it really worked. So I think that low-key might be an area where we should go and try to find another tight end who can help. Because Nick Boyle is known as a blocker. And Mark Andrews is a legit receiving threat. But I think we need another guy there, which would help a lot.
It would help, but I don't know, man. It's just that's like a small problem. That's not the bigger picture, in my opinion. The bigger picture is turnovers, especially.
He literally threw the ball to Spillane for that pick six. Like he literally, it was 3rd and 6, start the game. He literally looked at Spillane. He's like, he's right there. And I forgot who he was. I think it was Willie Snead he was targeting.
The throw wasn't even good.
He looked at him. He's like, okay, I'm gonna zip it in there. I don't know, and there's nothing wrong because a lot of times if you have velocity on your throw, you could get that in there.
But it wasn't accurate because it was more towards the defender than the receiver.
Yeah,
that
it
was
wasn't
the problem
accurate.
there. And for me, it's sure your throwing ability might not be as good as it was last year, or it's like taking a little step back. But your decision making has to be better still, and that's where I feel like he has to improve for the rest of the season if you want to make a run in the playoffs. Because no matter what, if you don't turn the ball over, this defense is one of the top defenses in the league.
I was skeptical on how good this defense is. It's easily a top 3 defense. I totally believe in that defense.
I agree 100%. So you can't just give them the short field and just put them in a bad position. Just punt the ball, like don't force it to that point where you're gonna get turnovers.
You can't have 4 turnovers, man. We had 4 turnovers. We had 450 yards, and we held the Steelers to 200 under, just a little bit over 200 yards. We literally only lost the game because of turnovers.
Even to finish the game, they had 2 opportunities. First, when the 4th and 4 when they weren't able to convert at like the 8-yard line, and then the Steelers defense made a really good play on the QB draw, and they couldn't convert there. But then the defense got the ball back for the Ravens, and then it was like a really like low.
Bro, and they held Deontay Johnson to 1 catch. Claypool had like 2
and a fumble.
Yeah, and then also James Conner didn't even do anything on the ground. That's a game we should. That's a game, not even just the Ravens win. If you just looked at the box score and you didn't see the turnover part, you'd look and be like, oh, Ravens won by 14. That's literally the type of game it was, and we ended up losing. And it's just all Lamar, and it hurts to say, but I think we bounced back, honestly. To move on though from that game, another big game that went to overtime was the Bears versus Saints. Nobody knows this, but I'm like low key like a Bears. I don't want to say a fan, but like.
You're not a fan. He just makes money off the Bears, so now he likes them.
I've watched literally every snap of the Bears this year. Like no word of a lie. And like they're so bad. Like I know you thought I was gonna say they're good, but they're low-key so bad. At least the defense is really good. But their offense is like the most frustrating offense that I've ever watched in my life, and it honestly hurts. It pains me to watch that offense operate. But Saints went to Chicago and stole the W, and right now looking at the Saints, what are they, 5-2? So it's like, do you think Saints have a shot at catching Bucks in the division?
I think they do have a really legitimate shot. And next week, that's like their game right now.
Yeah, it's the game of the year.
I'm excited. Is Michael Thomas back for that game?
Man, the last 2 weeks they said he's going to play each game. He didn't end up playing.
So it's up in the air. But I feel like you really got to get him in that game, because they'll make it so much more exciting.
Emmanuel Sanders should be back 100%.
He should be back. But I like the Saints, man. Even though last week I was kind of going back to like after they signed Antonio Brown, going, oh man, the Bucks are probably gonna be legit. But my original pick was the Saints, and they haven't done anything significant to me for not to say that like they're a really good team. Alvin Kamara is the best weapon in football right now to me.
Yeah, he is. I may have underrated him because I wasn't the biggest on him, but that offense, like I always say, running backs don't matter, but that offense, they would not be 5-2 without Kamara. Like if you gave them back Michael Thomas, but then you lost Kamara, I don't know how that would go for them. Like they really need him. Like he's catching the ball in the backfield, he's running through, he's doing gaps, he's doing everything for them. He's blocking, and even Latavius Murray's helping out too. Like don't act like he's just there for no reason.
No, he is. That's one of the smart things they've done throughout Kamara's career is that they had another running back because he does so much already that they always have.
He's so involved in the passing game that you do need another running back still on the field in case you want to audible to a run.
Exactly.
You still have him there in the slot, so
then having that before with Mark Ingram, now with Latavius Murray, it's been really successful for them.
Yeah, it has.
And Drew Brees, man, he's still accurate, and like he's missing a few more throws than usual, like compared to the previous years. But man, he's still a Hall of Fame QB. Him and Brady going back and forth on that touchdown leaderboard every single week. And I think I'm gonna choose Saints to win this week.
I honestly think there's a 0% chance Saints win that game and win the division. The Saints are just not on the level of the Buccaneers. Even after watching Buccaneers struggle to take care of the Giants, it really came down to 2-point conversion. Some people think it was a PI. I don't. But even after watching all of that, I just don't see a world where the Saints can compete with the Buccaneers. Tom Brady's better than Drew Brees. Buccaneers have the best receiving core in the NFL, if you include their tight ends, their running backs, and their wide receivers. The only team that can even rival that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They have a top 10 O-line. They literally have a top 3 defense. Some people will call it the best defense. Maybe Pittsburgh has something to say that. Maybe Baltimore has something to say that. I just don't see a world where the Saints can legitimately challenge the Buccaneers. And on the flip side of that game, the Bears. Green Bay got upset by the Vikings. So even with Bears losing, they're still only 1 game back of Green Bay. You think they have any shot to catch Green Bay Packers?
No, just because I've watched a lot of those Bears games as well. And when I tell you that David Montgomery might be the most useless starting running back in the NFL, like, that guy is not good.
Every time I watch Montgomery run, I just want to rip my eyes out. I just want to rip my eyes out. Like, David Montgomery, there's nothing against you. Like, you were good at, I think you went to Iowa State. You were good there, but man, you're so bad in the NFL.
And I understand a lot of the problem is the O-line.
Yeah, the O-line is bad.
The O-line is like, that's why Nick Foles, like, when a lot of people try blaming Nick Foles for like some of the struggles in the passing game, he just has no time. When he has time, he's a lot better.
The thing I don't get about Nick Foles is I know Nick Foles is not this unathletic. It's like he's scared to run past the line of scrimmage. They were literally against the Saints. He had the ball. There was no one in front of him. He was at the line of scrimmage. He was just looking. He kept looking down the field. No one was open, bro. Just go pick up the first down with your feet, and he didn't do it. And it's just frustrating because I'm always betting on you guys, you know? Just frustrating. I just can't take it.
Yeah, but no, I just don't see that O-line being able to stay sustainable, and like Foles is going to take more hits, and Montgomery is just not going to get better. And I just think that overall in the long run, I think the Vikings are a better team than the Bears overall.
No way. Even though the Bears suck, no way.
Like, give me the Vikings though, so no matter what. I just can't trust an offense. I don't like choosing teams in general where I have to rely on the defense to stop the other team rather than my offense can put up points. I need that balance where, sure, my defense won't allow. I'd rather have an average defense and an average offense than a great defense and a terrible offense.
I mean, just when you have a terrible offense, it's just frustrating to watch. That's why it's annoying.
Because you can't rely on them to...
You can't rely on them to do anything. Bears literally go into the game hoping they can get a score off special teams or from their defense, or hoping the defense can get them in short field situations, or hoping the special teams... Because they have one of the best returners in NFL history, not even just right now.
Yeah.
They just hope that maybe you can get them a shorter field. Like, that's literally what they have to do at this point, and it's just sad. But honestly, I think the Packers are like one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. I'm not one of them. I think they literally are the most overrated team in the NFL. And even though the Bears aren't that good, I would not put it past the Bears to go to Green Bay and beat them. I honestly think they have a legitimate shot at beating the Packers. And I honestly believe they have a legitimate shot of overtaking them in the NFC North.
See, my only problem with that is that Packers are overrated because their run defense is atrocious. And that's the one thing the Bears can't do.
Yeah, the Bears can't do.
So I really feel like...
The only thing they can do is... Because Nick Foles still has a good deep ball.
Yeah.
But Packers, they actually do defend that pretty well. So.
Yeah, so that's where I feel like they don't match up the best with the Packers.
Yeah, the style of the fight is going to be difficult for them, but you know how Khalil Mack gets against the Packers, so he's gonna ruin the offense game plan. And Akeem Hicks, one of the best D tackles in the league. But to move on, the final game of the week that I found interesting was Seattle stomping the 49ers. You said when we were betting, you had the 49ers winning. I told you the Seahawks would bounce back, and they stomped them straight out the gate. Told DK Metcalf, I keep telling, we did this last week, the receivers, I keep telling you about him. I had him 7th last week, I'm going to have to move that up. I don't know why I put him past, but he's like up to number 4 right now. DK's a guy, man. The 49ers, George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt that game. I think their season's done, honestly. I give them a chance of beating Green Bay this week, though, because Green Bay's terrible. But their season's looking like it's pretty done.
I give the 49ers a chance this week against Green Bay as well, but man, that Seattle offense is something. I'll say that because
it's special.
DK and Lockett, low-key, might be the best receiving duo in the NFL.
Yeah, if you just go by those two, I mean, Mike Evans and AB is better than that.
Okay,
but other than Mike Evans and AB, no one really has two receivers that good. Unless you want to count Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce basically receiver that probably is better as like passing targets.
That might count. But overall, Russell Wilson, like when he's playing like that, and then the receivers are playing like that, and the defense isn't
finally showed up. The defense showed up.
Like that's been their problem all year. It hasn't been the offense. It's been the defense hasn't been able to stop a fly. Like anybody can score on that team. Even Cam Newton looked like he's like revitalized against that team. And now like reality kicked in, and just Seattle's defense is bad. Yeah. And they finally did something. They slowed down the run a little bit. Like 49ers, they weren't able to just get their groove going. And I don't want to talk about this game too much because I don't think it shows much for either team. I just think 49ers, their injury problem. And then Seattle, it's just for Seattle more that finally the defense can do something.
Yeah.
But then is 49ers offense just so depleted now because losing Kittle now it hurts even though he did play a lot of the game.
Yeah.
It's so deflating for them. And then Garoppolo, I think they're better off with Nick Mullins before this a couple weeks ago, and I think now we're gonna see why.
I think they're better off without Garoppolo, but I don't think they're better with Nick Mullins. I think they just be better suited to go find a new quarterback. I don't know if Nick Mullins' answer.
Nick Mullins isn't an answer. He's a temporary stand-in, and they rushed that Garoppolo contract. Like they went too deep into a guy that was not proven.
But apparently they can get off of him next year without any penalty. And they only give up a third for him, and they got 3 years. No, they gave up a second round pick for him, and they got 3 years out of him. So honestly, I think it's time to move for Garoppolo. He's always hurt. You're in a division now with Kyler Murray looking like a superstar. Russell Wilson, you know he's a superstar. And Jared Goff is going to be there for 10 years and be quality. So you don't want to – you can't do much with the fourth best quarterback in the division. So they just got to get up Garoppolo.
Arguably the most talented roster overall.
Yeah, they probably do have the best roster in that division.
Yeah, so that one position, if they can fix it, they're set. And I think that next year they got to fix it.